Hello everyone, Mike Arnold here, co-founder of Path Trading Partners along with Bob Iacchino. So, to all those IOTA and LITECOIN fans, this one's for you. Thanks for being some of our strongest supporters. Big shout out to you guys. Alright, IOTA. First cross, this is called the double cross concept, where we got the one cross and then immediately crosses back over. And that's when we get the bigger pullback. What I mean by bigger pullback is when we expect a double cross. Means we got the bigger pullback into the rotation zone on the larger time frame. And you can see we held the 50% level and now is rotating back up very nicely. Zoom back to the 4 hour. But if you hear me talk about the double cross principle, that's it. We got one cross and the cross back up. So now we're going to be watching for key support back to the rotation zone to buy the dips. So right now, key support coming in about 398 to 390. Our next target area where we have this trend line, which is very strong on the daily, and our 25% GAN level is 446. So that's going to be our next target, the upside. And then above that, we're watching for about this $5 mark. There's going to be some minor resistance coming in at 486, and there'll be some more minor resistance at 512. The upside targets are still all the same. You know, we're up once we get to new highs. 559 are the old highs. Then we're watching for 590 and a big cluster, 613 to 622, and then 671. Now, for some reason, this does not hold. We pull back here and get a key close below about the 389 level. We'll be watching for a slightly bigger pullback, and the next pullback level would probably be down to about 344 to 350. Already checked in on the daily. Let's just check in once more. So you can see here how that daily rotation zone held really nicely and where all these key levels are. And this is the bigger pullback. We've talked in some of the other videos about a sideways pullback or letting the rotation zone catch up on a sideways basis, sort of like this did over here. Go check out I think it was a Dash and Ethereum video if you want to. I talk about a bigger, more complex pullback versus sideways pullback to let the H catch up. This was definitely a complex, bigger pullback. It started to go sideways. We couldn't hold that. Then we dipped in the rotation zone and we got that double cross principle. Just something to make note of mentally so you can start incorporating it into your trading regimen. All right, over to Litecoin US dollar. So again, holding the rotation zone really nicely. We got one close below it, then the big igniting bar up, testing, closing in it, stopping at the key levels, end of the clear path there. We still haven't hit new highs yet, so these other levels are still in place. We're still watching for a return to 350, that nice round number. 363, cluster at 377 to 378, then another 62.5 retracement extension and the 12.5% large GAN extension. That's going to be another major area at 406. Should we have a bigger pullback and break the rotation zone, we'd be watching for a return to about 264 to 270. Let's check in on the daily chart to keep it in perspective and use our daily levels also. We have the 8 still rising up. We still haven't touched the 8. This is being remarkably strong, so we still could get another pause or another pullback. So do not be surprised if we do. This has gone very far, very fast without re-entering the daily rotation zone. But we're going to keep trading with the trend. That's one of the things that a lot of traders miss. You got to keep taking the trades. And what if it comes to an end? What if it has that bigger pullback? Then that's why we use stops. Know where your stop levels are. Know that if it gets below a certain level, like we could list out, hey, if it gets below this back below the 293 level, we're going to take some off and wait for the bigger pullback and wait for the rotation back up. You know, that's something you can do and should do as a trader. Know where your levels are. Or as it continues to rally up, what do? All right. When we move a stop 363, gets this cluster, I'm going to take some off. How many times you see it get up to some of these key levels, then you get that rotation back down, especially in the 4 hour time frame. Then you get to put it back on. Some of the stuff you took off, you put it back on the 4 hour time frame. It rotates back up. You move a stop, you start trailing, you take it off the next big cluster. That would be like at the 407. Well, what if it doesn't rotate? What if it comes back down? Then you know you have to lighten up at some point. You lighten up some of it, and then you put it on at the lower level because you're expecting the bigger pullback. Finally, over to Monero. So we got up to this other 333 level, pulled back, actually dipped below the rotation zone for a bit, which was a little unsettling. Why we didn't get overly aggressive with this. Finally got back up a bit, got again, tested that 333 level a second time, pulled back the rotation zone, so now it's okay to get a little more aggressive. Moved up, spiked to our next level, 346. And then we had an ABC projection of 354. That was a projection from the lows on the 9th of December up to the highs on the 14th of December, projected from the lows on the 14th of December. So that gave us a nice 354 level spike through there, but closed, or the high was nearly on it, spiked through, high nearly on it, pulled back rotation zone again, no close below the rotation zone, actually pulled back to this key 333 level. See, that's a lot of times why we leave these other GAN levels on there. Then we got the rotation back up. So, what are we watching for now? Next key levels, 369, 379, then the full ABC projection up here to 398. So that's going to be very key. What would make us change our mind on the very bullish nature now of this? If we got a close back below the rotation zone, we'd be getting more cautious. The prior major breakout zone is right here. See this red area? So resistance, 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 moving through, blowing through, momentum candle, support, support, dipping below but closing back above and in the rotation zone. Support, support. So this is a very key level should we get a bigger pullback. On the shallow pullback, again right here at the 62.5%, this was a minor breakout zone because we had resistance, 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 minor resistance, close on it, then it sort of moved through it. But you can see the more it was resistance in the past, generally the stronger to move through it when it does break through it. This is minor. This was minor resistance, so it wasn't as big a candle, and then retested it now. So keep that in mind. Again, if it does pull back more, 334 through 329 is key. Let's check in on the daily chart for Monero. Again, this is a sideways pause. You know, it really didn't dip back briefly, but it more moved sideways until the 8 caught up. Now the 8's catching up again. We may have another momentum move to the upside, so just keep that in mind with this 8 coming in. We've been seeing a lot of momentum moves on the daily time frames. When the 8 touches and catches up to price action, it a lot of times triggers buys. This has really not had a complex correction yet into the rotation zone, so we will be watching for it should we start stalling out again and traveling sideways and a lot more sellers come in. We'll be watching for the complex correction, taking some more off and watching for the bigger pullback to add it back on. So we have for you on IOTA, Litecoin, and Monero, and we will talk to everyone shortly. Remember, if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe, like, and comment. Keep the channel going, and thank you to all the people who watch our videos. We really appreciate it. That's why we keep putting them out for you guys. Talk to everyone soon. Bye for now.